All right, guys. Welcome to episode 2 of Healing Talk, where we make uncommon conversations common so that you can heal. Uh, Today, I have the honor and the privilege of sitting with my sister. And I know if y'all follow me, y'all hear me talk about my sisters, but like this one here is like my brother's wife. So she is my sister in love, in law, and like all around just my sister. Like I'll go to war for her. So, anywho, I'm just excited to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. And today we're just gonna dig in as we did the last episode and talk about the healing journey. So I'll let you introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are.
Okay, so my name is Erica Hatton, and I am a mother, a wife. A little bit about me. I was in the military for 4 years, and I did that. And I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and I'm currently going back to school for my master's in social work. So,
Is her mic working? I'm sorry. Just want to make sure everybody can hear you. Let me see. Is your green light? Is you got a green light? It is okay. Making sure. All right. And so, just like background wise. So, where are you from?
So I am originally from Akron. Some people like to say home of LeBron James, but it's just act right, you know. I'm gonna hood baby. Uh, yeah, you know.
Listen, by the time this is over, y'all gonna love her. I'm just letting y'all know. All right. So let's just dig right in. So, healing talk. What we dig into is just like the healing journey. As you know,
Mm-hmm.
God led me to write this book
Right.
with a lot of my things that I hid and buried and
Mm-hmm.
the process of healing. So let's just start with your testimony.
Ooh, child, which one?
If you want to just start with something around the area of healing, that's fine. Like,
So, um, I've been through like a plethora of things throughout my life. And it started as early as 3 years old. So I feel like I've always been in a place of constantly like healing
mm-hmm,
because there was like so much drama which infused trauma.
mm,
So I mean, I feel like I'm just at a place right now where it's like finally coming down to like a calm place because the healing journey it never ends.
it does not.
It's a never ending story. Like it's like you have to do upkeep.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. If it wasn't for God, honey, baby. Listen.
And so, what are the things, like some of the things that you actually had to heal from?
Oh goodness. So you can't actually say the word. So I'm gonna say SA. um Baby daddy drama, um like toxic relationships, the domestic violence, um in the end, just I've had to heal a lot from like not being able to trust people
Mm-hmm.
or like just feeling uncomfortable being around people.
Mm. Okay. So that's gonna lead me to because normally when we feel that way, that
Hmm.
digs into family. So kind of
That's
walk
where
us
it come
through.
from.
Yeah, walk us through like what was your childhood like? How was that for you?
So like my mom, she did the best that, you know what I'm saying, she could with what she had. She We come from a family of like incest.
Oh,
And so like my father is not just my father, he's my great uncle. And like I grew up in a situation where my dad is actually my brother. So you figure, you put that together. That's a lot.
girl, my brain not even processing.
I know. I know. You wasn't ready for that.
Girl, no.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot. And this is something like I had always, you know what I'm saying, been aware of. It was told to me very early on. And I remember, you know, my, I guess, my father slash uncle telling me, like, I'm your dad. And I'm looking at him like, you can't be because, you know what I'm saying, you old. Like, he had the salt and pepper, gray hair, and like everything. And my mom was like, yeah, you know, that's your father.
Wow.
So it's like generational, you know, incest. I come from a family that was like, they like people would have children, the younger girls would have children, they would give them to like other women within the family, like aunts and stuff like that. And that's essentially what happened to my own mother. The woman that was raising her wasn't even her mother, was her aunt.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh, sorry guys. Technical difficulties for a second. Okay, so I'm mind blown. Um, definitely some curveballs.
Yeah.
That's so knowing all of that, like
Mhm.
coming up, like how did that make you feel? Like, and knowing
So
what you know now spiritually, what seeds did that plant?
okay, so like, okay, I want you to understand something. Like, my biological father, he always showed me love. My dad, which is like my slash brother, he always showed me love. My mom, she always showed me love. It was the extended family
Mm-hmm.
that did not show love. And it was like I was yearning for love from them, like the cousins, the aunts, the uncles, for whatever reason. I felt like it was a hatred toward me, when I later learned that they did not have a liking for my mom, because she was one of those that she told everything. She didn't care. And they're like, no, we want the family secrets to say the secrets.
So it, I don't know why. Like when you were saying that, I just thought of like they had a covenant within
Yeah,
themselves.
they did, and they still do.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I'm
there's
talking
distance.
about like Eastern Stars, Freemasons. Yeah, they have a covenant.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, just I mean, so that sets the stage for easily like what life could have been for you. So,
Hmm.
I know you have a very extensive. Listen, she has a very extensive testimony. I don't even know all of it, but what I've
I think
heard,
you just learned a little bit today. You
I
was
did. I just
like,
learned some
I
more
ain't know that.
because some of the stuff I have heard, it was just like, wait, you what? So I know for you, you probably need to choose a story.
Right.
So let's choose maybe which one out of all the things you've gone through, which was probably the hardest for you to come out of or to get away
Oh,
from.
so I think I've always constantly had to deal with rejection.
Okay.
And so, like, from the extended family not accepting me, it always bothered me. And then I had to, like, deal with the world not accepting me for whatever reason. And so that was, really hard to deal with throughout life. And it carried over into my relationships with people, like lack there being able to trust, or put myself in isolation, not want to be around people, not want to be bothered with people. It transferred over into like, my marriage, all
Mm.
of that. And I had to, be able to like process all of that, and get through all of that with extensive counseling in God, because I wouldn't be able to, like, I feel like I wouldn't even be able to like function or talk to anybody. There was a time when I couldn't talk to nobody. I didn't know how to communicate.
Yeah. So I okay, so I have some history with rejection.
Hmm.
And I know that right there makes you look for validation.
Yes.
So kind of talk to us about like the teenage Erica and how
Ooh.
like that rejection played out in your life,
So,
dating and
like, when I was a teenager, I was just like angry all the time, angry at the world, because I was like, well, my family don't love me. So I was like, trying to get their acceptance, because they would always tell me, oh, you ain't gonna never be nothing, you ain't gonna never have nothing, you're gonna be just like your mama, have 2 children, welfare, you're gonna have like, drug dealer for a boyfriend, like all that, just really like speaking negative things over me, speaking like curses over me. And so I'm like, I'll show you, so I made it a point to like, get my GED. I made it a point to like get in college. I made it a point to get in the army, because I was like, I want people to look at me like I'm not just nothing, like I did something with my life, knowing, good and well, I'm like one of the first to, finish college, finish military, like do something with myself. But it just seemed like it was never good enough. It's like, oh, you achieved that, oh, you didn't do this, oh, you don't have this.
Okay. So, what age were you when you became a mom? Like, how old were you?
Oh, I was 23.
Okay, so you were older.
I made sure, listen, because I didn't want them to talk about something else, like I had to make sure that I had to, not get pregnant, because I didn't want them to talk about something. Had I got pregnant at like 16, yeah.
You would have been everything. Like, I dealt with the same thing.
Yeah, I would have fit into every single stereotype that, they wanted. Like, yeah, I was doing my thing when I was a teenager, but I had to, I was good at being bad. And, representing myself a certain way, so that, yeah, I could look a certain way, because I couldn't have I told you so.
Yeah. I can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate to that. And that it's a trap,
Yeah.
because I think that's how a lot of women stay that way when they get older, and they never address the root of the issue.
Yeah.
So you mentioned like SA. Kind of walk us through that a little bit.
So the first time that happened, I was 3 years old. And then like around 10 and 14, it was just something that periodically throughout my childhood happened. And my mom, like, I love her. She tried the best she could to protect me, but it was just the environment that we was living in. You had a lot of like, predators, grown men just looking at, young girls. And I wasn't the type that would, lie about my age or anything like that. I was telling them, how old I was, and they just did not care. They would say stuff like, you look like that now. I can't wait till you get, grown. You really gonna be this, that, and the third. I remember like when I was 14, I told this guy I was 14 because he was like trying to talk to me. And the guy was like 24 years old. And he did not care. He still was like, take my number down. And I'm like, no. And I felt like I would tell them my real age so they wouldn't bother me. And it seemed like they didn't care.
That's crazy. So I'm gonna be honest. When I first heard snippets of your story, it reminded me of the book The Coldest Winter Ever.
I have never read that book.
You haven't?
No, I have never read that book. I heard about it.
Yeah, like the whole like the dating the drug deal. Like I don't even know if we could say that.
Yeah, I've done all of that.
That is crazy. Okay, so would you say that like those kind of scenarios, they happen because of some of the traumas?
Most definitely. And a thing that I didn't mention is my dad was a pimp. He was an ex-pimp. So, like, what was I supposed to do? Like, I was drawn to guys that were in that lifestyle. Because that was my daddy. And my daddy was proud of it. He would walk around saying that's what he was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to dig in just a little deeper, because there is a part of your testimony that is very rare. I think you know where I'm going.
Okay. I'm like,
what part? It's very, very rare. One, it's still all over the world, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking
It's
about.
still happening
Mm-hmm.
today.
Yeah.
And it's sad that it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not many women that I've met, and I've met many women who
Mm-hmm.
have survived it.
Right.
And are like, okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like some women are survived it, but they're still bound and struggling, can't really
Mm-hmm.
talk about it, or women who are still gone or didn't make it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I can say it, but the first word starts with S, and the second part of it is trafficking.
Okay. Yeah.
So kind of walk us through that experience for you. Like, how did you even get to that space where that happened?
Okay, so I guess I would have to share a snippet of the backstory of how I even got in that position. So when I was, like 14, 15, I was like doing just like a whole bunch of like stuff. I was, doing a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes. I'm talking about like skipping school and smoking weed, and I was gang affiliated. And so my mom found all this stuff out in conjunction with, there was an incident with my best friend at the time where we was over this guy's house and he had some of his friends with him. Long story short, they end up taking her in their car, keeping her for 3 weeks in a hotel where they did a whole bunch of stuff to her. So as a result of that, both of our moms sat down together and was like, okay, we got to get them out of Akron because it's not safe. Y'all getting into all types of trouble. So I end up going away to Cincinnati to a boarding school. I don't want to say the name of the place. But basically what happened was my mom was told by the RA, like, you need to stop allowing her to come home all the time so she can focus on school. So my mom said, I wash my hands of you. So I took that as, you don't want me anymore. You don't want nothing to do with me. You're rejecting me. Because eventually I had lost contact with her. So I go out with some roommates and we go to a club, grown club, like 15 and a half going on 16. Met this guy and basically started dating him and giving him information. So like we like built a bond and he's like, I'm gonna take care of you. And from there he got me into it. He started like making me do videos with other people that I did not want to do. He would like put stuff in my drinks and stuff like that and have me to do it.
Wow.
Yeah. And I did this because, I was like, he's the one that's going to be like taking care of me and stuff. I didn't get out of that situation until he got arrested for like selling stolen cars.
Wow.
And the only way I knew how to get out of it, I was like, I'm going to enroll into University of Cincinnati and live on campus because I was homeless at the time. And I was like, I gotta have somewhere to live. At least I can live on campus. I do want to go to school, and um, they let me in because usually they don't let people in with GEDs, but they let me in based off of my grades from high school. So that was a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said one thing that stands out to me, and I just want to reiterate it because I hear a lot of young girls get stuck in this.
Yeah.
This older guy that comes and say, I'll take care of you. I don't know who's listening, okay? At what point in time you're listening. But if you hear that, it's a lie. It's a lie. Most of the time it really is, and it's like manipulation and control.
It definitely was because I feel like I had the freedom to get out, but I had an emotional bond to him, one, and the like mental hold he had on me, and plus he would threaten me. And so I was like, well, I don't have no family worth nothing. My mom is not around. So I was thinking like he literally could do whatever he wanted to me and nobody would ever know.
Wow.
So I just, went along with it and didn't want to do it.
Wow. Talk about like a form of bullying. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's such a key thing though. And I tell my girls this all the time because I have two teenage daughters myself. Um, when it comes to your identity, it's so important because a lot of women kind of get stuck in these cycles, unhealthy cycles, all because of lack of identity, lack of family support, the feeling of rejection and feeling like you need to please people. So if that's something that, if anybody is listening, you're in, please understand it starts with you. Nobody's going to value you until you do.
Yeah, I think that I had got to the point to where I felt like I was already rejected. So I'm gonna reject myself.
Hmm.
And I got to the point in life where I didn't even care if I was alive. I used to say a saying, born alone, die alone. Because I felt like I was just, all alone in the world.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's heavy. That is, that's a lot, sis.
I mean,
It is. That's a
it
lot. That's
it
a
it
lot to heal
it
from.
is. It is. And because of that, I had alcohol abuse.
Mhm.
I remember I used to like drink McDonald's cups of like, I don't know if you know what Everclear is. It's like 115 proof, like alcohol. It's basically moonshine.
Oh,
And like I used to smoke like blunts like every day, like about 6 or 5 like blunts every day. Cause I was trying to cope. And then like as I got older, I started, pill popping. I was
mm,
taking like Percocets and Vicodins,
wow.
and none of that stuff, helped. And I just was like, I was always like praying to God. I didn't know if I was praying right. I didn't know if I was doing it right, but I was like, God, help me, like heal me, like remove me from this. Like I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of myself.
Yeah.
Because I was just like stuck in the trauma. I was
Mhm.
stuck in it. And I got so like used to it. I just was like always like nobody has it as hard as me. Like
Mm,
I started feeling sorry for like myself. And I'm gonna say the only way that I got out of that, I did years of counseling and things like that. And the counselor was a Christian counselor. And we did like shock therapy. She took me through like a series of like where, it was like a sleep hypnosis.
mm,
And like she did this like electronics thing where like, she would shock me every so often so that I could, try to remember, because I was so traumatized. Like I had problems sleeping, I had depression, um, I had problems communicating with people and things like that. That, I just kept on telling her, I pray, but I don't feel like nothing is changing. And so I don't know, I guess it just hit her one day. She was just like, you know what, I am sorry for doing the shock therapy. I'm sorry for doing the hypnosis. And she gives me a Bible and says, this is all you ever needed.
wow.
And I said, why you, I was like, for real? And she's like,
Wow.
yeah, the sessions are over. This is all you ever need. You've been through all the counseling that you need so far. She was like, you probably will need some more, but this is what you really need. This is what
Wow.
you really needed. And I was like upset because I was like, I need you to cure me.
Mm.
Not knowing that, he is like the ultimate healer. He is the one that is going to like he's going to be your rest. He's going to be able to deliver you from out of any situation you go through.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that until I started, reading the Bible, reading the word. And I mean, I wouldn't be able to even speak because it was that bad. It was that bad. And your lovely brother, bless his heart, was like, I'm gonna love you past your pain. I said, you sure you want to do that? Cause this a lot of pain. You sure this is what you want? And it it was a lot, sis. It was a lot. And I just know, like for me, when it comes to trauma, it's a ongoing healing journey. There's still things that I get triggered by.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I would ever be 100% healed until the Father comes. But I can say, like, through building a relationship with Him, I have gotten a lot better over time. I've gotten to this place to where I can have peace.
Mm-hmm.
I can talk about a lot of things that I've been through without, just bawling. I used to just like bawl, like, oh my God, that happened to me. And, like, you have to get to a place to where you can be comfortable in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's real. That's real. I Lord knows, gosh, it doesn't matter what you go through. Everybody's story is different, and you have
Yeah.
to heal through it. I know for me, it was a process. Well, it was a process.
Listen,
So
your book,
let's talk
okay.
about it. Let's talk about it.
Lord, deliver me. Cause all I seem to do is hurt me. Okay.
How was that? So stuck in the process. For you, how was that reading journey?
First of all, when I was reading that book, I was stuck in a process.
Mm.
While reading, stuck in a process. So I said, I'm trying to process this. Okay. And I had a different experience with the book because, I'm married to your brother.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, a lot of things that you was talking about in the book, I felt like I saw in my husband. And so I threw the book. I'm going to be honest, I threw that book. And I said, why, God? This ain't fair. I ain't got this to do. And he said, you do got it to do because you going to read it. I had to take a break, because I was like, it's a little bit too real. And then, you're talking about, always looking at the other person. And I was like, but it's him.
Mm-hmm. Girl.
I went through that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like I grew as I was reading the book, I grew with the book.
Okay.
Like, I was actually, because I would feel like I was actually going through some of the things that you was talking about in the book. Yeah. And then I got to the point to where it's one part of the book where you talk about you got to get comfortable with uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just always putting me in like positions during that point of reading your book
Mm-hmm.
where I had to get comfortable with uncomfortable. Like, so much stuff was being presented to me, but I know that it was necessary to prune me, to grow me, to get me to the point that I'm at right now. Because even me sitting here with you, this was no.
Listen, it was a no. That was her
Yeah.
immediate answer so I didn't know who was going to be the second person I sat with. And after my brother, I said, God, if you want me to do it, you'll show me. And the next morning, he dropped her in my spirit so heavy. I was just like, okay, you're going to have to precede me. So when I text her, I already knew she was going to say no. I was so
I'm the
prepared for
problem
no.
child.
She immediately was like, no, find somebody else to do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I said, okay, God, well, you gave me her, and I know you ain't a liar, so you'll have to tell your daughter, and I'll wait. And that's literally what happened. So thank you for being submitted to him.
Yes,
But I can understand
ma'am.
how it's hard to have these conversations. I know I've been called to a level of transparency that's actually
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable for some people, and especially for me, who kept everything under lock and key for
And
so
see,
long.
that's where he's got me in a place of, he's like, you know, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony.
Mm-hmm,
And he
mm-hmm,
showed me years ago, like, Erica, you're going to be sharing these testimonies because it's not even yours. It's
mm-hmm,
mine. I allowed you to go through this so that you can share, so that it can edify others to know about the greatness of him, because he can deliver you out of any situation, and he also, dropped down into me that is testimonies. All of these things that you're going through that are going to be testimonies, you're being tested and tried while you're going through that. And the test is to see, okay, are you still going to cling to me? Are you still going to give me your all? Are you still going to give me your praise? Are you still going to worship me? Because sometimes, I'm going to keep it real, you go through so much, and sometimes you get to the point to where, like, it's like, God, you're not hearing me. Or I'm sick of praying. I'm so tired that my prayer is tired, and I don't have nothing else to give. I'm gassed out. And I've certainly, got to those points to where I was like gassed out. But one thing, even if my relationship was not stronger, I did not have a relationship, I always prayed. And I feel like that always kept me like close to him.
I remember getting to that space where I was like, I remember the book was being written and I just was living it at that time, so I didn't know. But we had got to a space in our marriage where I was like, Mama Tracy would call me and be like, pray. And I'm like, I don't want to pray. I didn't want to pray. I didn't want to deal with it. In my mind. It being over was the only option and the best way. So I love how God gets us to a space where we get sick of ourselves, one.
Yeah.
And two, we're in a situation we know we can't fix. And so it makes you cleave to him. I think the one thing a lot of people like check out on is when you get to that space and they start looking for other things to fix it, like drugs and alcohol. What makes them check out, I truly believe, is the fact that God always holds a mirror up to you first.
Yeah, he shows you and allows you to self-reflect on yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I went through that period. It was like, I'm here, but I was able to like see outside of myself to see myself. Like, it was almost like looking into a window and seeing yourself and how you present yourself, how you're acting and responding and things like that. And he showed me that, and I was like, that's ugly. I don't want that. And I remember just screaming and like crying, and was like, I'm tired of being like this. I remember I had I used to wear like the crystals and stuff like that, and the hexagons and stuff like that, because I was like, I just want peace. And I was doing the sage. I was like, it's gonna get all the evil spirits out. It's gonna be great. Your brother was going on because he's like, yeah, you crazy. Like, whatever you can do to get some peace, get it. And so one day I was just like, this stuff is just not working. This sage smelled like old pines. And I was like, this crystal ain't crystalline. Like, I remember taking the chain off, throwing it in a hexagon, throwing it. And I was like, it's not doing anything. And I just cried. It was like, God, just help me, please. Because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing everything to get some peace. And I was like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of myself. And when I started to see that, I started to read the word and get in my word and get closer to him. And that's when the change in the growth started to begin. He started pruning me. He started taking stuff away from me. Like, I'll give you an example. So remember, I said I was not a good communicator. I was always the type that would fight. So whenever your brother,
I can see that.
Whenever your brother did something wrong, oh, you gonna get this vase. like I'm throwing stuff because I don't know how to communicate like what's going on with me internally,
emotionally,
what I'm feeling. And so I stopped throwing the stuff, you know what I'm saying? And I start, talking, I start vocalizing what it was going on with inside of me, because you was gonna get that vase. Okay?
Not the vase.
Yes, the vase.
Not the violence.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, that is hilarious.
Unfortunately, like, we went through a point where we was Ike and Tina. And I was like, this is like not normal. I was like, I don't want this. And I knew, like, it started with me. Like, that's where he had me looking at myself, because yet he has some things that he got to go through, some growth areas. But let's not negate that I have things that I need to grow from too,
Yeah,
like
for
grow
sure.
out of.
Hmm.
Like, you're not a little girl. You can't respond like a little girl.
And that is in my book because that was my story.
Yes, and it was like I would have temper tantrums like a child, and I would whine. I was like jumping up and down, and I was like,
What is
"This
happening?
is not like no grown woman should be doing that.
Yeah.
That's not cute." Like, I was sitting up there having self talk with myself, like, and he's looking at me like, "Who the hell are you talking to?" Like, and I'm like, "I'm going through some stuff." And I'm like, "Hold on." And so, yeah, like that was a lot of self reflection.
Yeah. I remember when God kind of began to show me, and He's like, you can't let every action be a reaction to someone else's
Oh my
action.
goodness, I was all about that reaction.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, you want to play? Anything you can do,
yeah,
I can do better. Like that was that
yeah,
that was my childish um
hmm,
thought process, and
yeah,
definitely it came from a place of being emotionally immature,
hmm,
because when you deal with so much young and no one has taught you how to verbalize how you feel, you
yeah,
just act out. And I mean, we too old to be just acting out. Like at some point we
true.
gotta, grab hold of it. So I thank God for healing in that area,
And
baby.
then it's like the thing, okay, yeah, I've been through a lot of traumatic things, right? And yeah, I had a mother that was, mentally ill. She was diagnosed with schizophrenia
Oh wow.
and hallucinating. So it's like, I can't let that be a reason or an excuse as to why I don't do the work.
Mm,
You have to do your own self work within God
yes.
to grow. Like, I can't be one of them people. Well, I'm the way I am because my mama wasn't no good. Like,
And they
we gotta
and they
stop doing that.
exist.
We
They
gotta stop
exist.
doing it.
Girl, giving yourself an excuse to be a whole
Yes,
fool.
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you whether you realize it or not, you're submitting to a behavior that God did not give you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so we have to come out of that.
Girl, and when you deal with trauma, I learned from my own personal journey that like a lot of the learned behaviors are stemmed from trauma. So you sitting here thinking it's a
Mm-hmm.
characteristic trait, and what it is a trauma response.
Yeah.
And I say that a lot, but it's just mind blowing to me how many people are walking around here with a full blown trauma response as their
Mm-hmm.
persona, and they don't even realize it. Like that's not who you are. It's just your default from the things that you went through that you didn't get to heal from.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I feel like when you've been through, okay, so it's like you don't have to go through a lot of extensive trauma, but anytime you have been traumatized, I
Mm-hmm.
do feel like you
Mm-hmm.
need counseling.
Girl,
And
yes.
it's one thing that, people try to say, "Oh no, don't need counseling. All you need is just, don't worry about it, brush it under the rug, keep on
Mm-hmm.
going, or all you need is the Lord." And like, yes, you do need the Father, but I will say, like, if you get a good and trusted Christian counselor
Yeah.
that believes in the Holy Spirit, he will move through that person
Mm-hmm.
to help you. Because even though my counselor, she did all the other things because she was trained professionally in that way, he moved through her.
Mm-hmm.
Because if she never gave me that Bible, I wouldn't have started.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have started. And it was funny because I wanted a Bible, and I don't know why I just didn't go out and get one, because it ain't like you can't just go out and get one.
Right.
But I mean, when she gave it to me, that was where the door opened for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the real healing started.
Wow. So I know I even said in my little clip video I did before we met, I said,
Mhm.
listen, her testimony is extensive.
Mhm.
So she just said some stuff that reminded me of another part of her testimony dealing with like the cult
Oh,
and
girl.
new age and stuff like that. So I don't
Mhm.
want you to, I'm not going to have you really dig into talking about it, but what
Mhm.
I will ask you to do is for a viewer who is burning sage and dealing with crystals and the occult and witchcraft, tarot cards and all that,
Mhm.
what would you say to them from your experience?
I would really say, what is it doing for you?
Mm,
Like, what has it done for you? Like, is doing that stuff really moving in your life? Is it really helping you? Like, are you is it helping you to overcome things that you've been through? Is it helping you to grow? Is it doing anything of significance where you can see major change in your life? Because here's the thing, those are just things. The crystals, the sage, the cards, and things like that. And if you have any type of desire in you to really get to know God, and I'm talking about the God in the Bible, I ain't talking about deities in all of that. If you look in the Bible, there's so many scriptures that talk about playing with those things and what not and not to do that, and how he's not playing with it or you if you are operating in it. So I want to say, test what the word says, and if it matches up with what you're doing, and if it don't, you are what you will find. It doesn't. You're not in order with God, because there's a lot of people that engage in that activity and they still call themselves believing God. And I'm like, how can you believe in God and you sitting up there reading tarot cards, or you sitting up there burning sage? Like, they just don't understand the extent of it. And I don't know if you ain't got to them scriptures yet, but baby, it's in there. Yeah.
It is.
That's why he says study yourself approved, because you have to study these things so you don't fall into these things.
So what if it's somebody who don't know God? Maybe someone who's scrolling or going to see the playback who doesn't even know God. Maybe this is what they were like raised in. What would you say to them?
Um so I find that a lot of people that do this, it's because they are looking for
Looking.
something.
Mm-hmm.
They looking for something.
Yeah.
And like I said, for me, I was, looking for peace. And so you have to test that. Have you found what you were looking for? Because 9 times out of 10, honey, you ain't. And you still dabbling in it. So what is it that you want? What's the end result out of it that you're trying to get? And if you haven't gotten that, then what would be so bad about trying God? What would be so bad about picking up the Bible and reading it, just testing it? You done
And
tested,
even
you
if
done
you think
tested,
you found
you done
peace,
tested stuff and played with other stuff. What's so bad about the word? Oh, because you might get convicted.
and even if you think you found peace, because the enemy is real tricky
Yeah.
and the spirit of confusion is real. So even if you think you found peace, what's I agree. What's wrong with saying, "Okay, God, okay"? If you're the one thing I'll tell people, try him.
Yeah.
Try. I mean, like seriously, if you don't know him for yourself, just try him. Talk to him, because that little bit of faith you take to call out and say, "Jesus, show me, just show me." Like I'm telling you, God moves. He moves
One thing I want to also add to that is
with a genuine heart.
be patient,
Yeah.
because we live in a society where it's like right now.
Microwave.
You want things right now. And I know somebody right now who dabbles in everything. I'm talking about like meditation, manifestation, and still call themselves believing God. And they are financially well off and they have a good career and everything like that, but there's still areas of their life where they're not seeing movement and they have a sadness within them. Why is that? It's because you have opened the doors up for other things, you're not fully submitted to God. You cheating on him
That
because
part.
you have opened up the door for, meditation and all of these other things, which is like a part of Buddhism practice. So essentially, you're you got two gods you worshiping.
Hmm.
And so those are the things that you have to, think about and look at. Am I truly submitting to him and only him? Am I truly just, going to the Bible, or am I looking for outside sources to
Mm-hmm.
be a source in conjunction with that? You
Mm-hmm.
can't have two or
Yeah.
more. You have two or more witnesses, and the witness should tell you to let that other stuff go. That's the only thing. That's the only thing.
How did you break away from like all the new age practices and stuff like that?
Because I seen it wasn't working.
Okay.
That was it for me. And I was like, this crystal is pretty and everything, but you ain't doing nothing. You ain't drawing no energy. I'm still sleeping. I'm still depressed. My depressed is depressed.
Oh Lord.
So so I got rid of everything, and it was like nobody had to even tell me. I hadn't even read like any scriptures yet. I just got rid of everything.
Mm.
And
So it sounds like it was more supernatural for you.
yeah.
Okay. That's good. Well, so I'm gonna ask this, and this kind of is normally before we talk about the book, but we kind of
Uh-huh.
jumped the gun a little bit. But what was your breaking point? What was the place where you were like, okay, God, it got to be me and you. Like I've gone through essay, I've gone through like drugs and everything else we just talked
Mhm.
about. Like I've done all these things.
Mhm.
It got to be you. Like
Mhm.
when, like what made you get to that place?
Mhm. This is gonna be different. So, 3 weeks after my mom passed away. Well, my mom passed away 3 weeks after my birthday,
Mm,
and then 6 months later, my dad died. And so that was my breaking because, like, even though I believed in a God, he made me realize that I idolized my mom as a God.
mm,
And the so real thing is, anything that you put before him, he will take it away. And she made such an impact on me. Like, if I wouldn't do something because of her.
mm,
And I know that I would not be where I'm at because she really didn't have a close relationship with God. It was kind of shaky.
mm,
And so after my mom and my dad passed away, it's when he broke me down and was like, "It's you don't have nothing else.
mm.
I was always your father, and it's gonna be just me and you, and this is it." And I cried and I said, "Okay." Like, that's where the growth started. That's where, I started reading more because after Terry, my therapist, gave me the Bible was like a little bit before, no, it was after my mom passed away
Mm-hmm.
because I had to go to a mental institution and everything
Wow, to deal with the loss of her,
because I tried to, and
unalive
yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
Really?
yeah, that was like the fourth time actually.
Oh wow.
And so I just got to the point to where I was just like sick of myself and like how my life was like going. And so that's when I just truly submitted to him and just gave it up. Cause I was just like, I'm tired. I'm not good at doing this by myself. I'm not good at doing this on my own and trying to do this thing called life and move. It's not working for me. Myself, I don't trust myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's not working for me.
Listen, that'll be the moment.
Yeah.
Jesus, and that's what I said. You got to get sick of yourself.
Yeah, I had to
And yeah.
I got to the point it was like I smelled something that was just so disgusting and foul.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, look at that. It's disgusting. And that was the shift. That was the shift, him allowing me to see myself in where I didn't want to be. I'm like, I can't be no old lady like this.
Right.
Like, come on now, Lord help me.
So what I like about your story is we've talked about all these things that
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure for anybody listening, they're like, what? You know what I mean? But you get to talk a little bit about the redeemed side of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that y'all's story didn't start the greatest because ours didn't. Listen, when you get in
Mm-hmm.
whatever you take into your marriage that you did not
Listen,
fix in your singleness, you will deal with it in your
you
marriage.
will. And then I
So
didn't even know that he had stuff. And I'm like,
yeah.
this
So
nigga
his
some
stuff
stuff.
and your stuff come together and now you stuck with a bunch of crap
Yeah.
you don't even feel equipped to deal with.
Yeah.
So good thing is they made it on the other side. How many years has it been now?
So we first got together in 2011, but we've been married since April 13th, 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've
So
been
they've been in this thing for a
a
while.
while.
So let's talk about the glory side of it though. Like you went through the trials and the tribulations and it was
Mm-hmm.
hard and everything,
Mm-hmm.
but like now on the other side of all of that, um, coming from the life you had,
Mm-hmm.
like kind of walk people through how God redeemed the marriage, how he like
Oh.
how he used your husband even to love you through brokenness. Kind of encourage some women about that.
So, I told you that your brother said that he had to love me past my pain, and it was like I didn't know I had to love him past his pain either, because I didn't know that
Listen.
I was getting anything with him, because I had this mentality like God had told me that that was my husband,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm thinking like, okay, if this is my husband, he's not going to have any of the attributes of past men.
Girl.
Because that's my husband. He's supposed to be perfect, you know? So we both had our own stuff. He had to go through his individual journey, and I had to go through my individual journey. And then we had to go through a journey together.
Mm-hmm.
And so through that, our both of us going through our individual journey, getting healing over stuff, and then okay, now we got to come together and get healing over stuff together, because we done did stuff to each other,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's a result of things that we carried on or still had hidden inside, and that's still an ongoing healing journey, because we are still learning each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a healing process.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. I done put my story out there like, listen, I thank God we are where we are and I can see the light. You know what I mean? Like all that arguing and oh God, I don't have the
Yeah.
energy for that. That's doing too much.
So I would say, like, your foundation, like in the beginning, may not be good, but you'll get to the point to where you'll get to a solid rock. But then you have to have solid people in the faith around you to help keep you grounded,
Mm-hmm.
to help keep things neutralized, and allow you to be able to always self-reflect
Mm-hmm.
on yourself to help continue the growth.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's like, if you stop self-reflecting on yourself, you're not growing. You stunt your growth.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I agree. All right. So I'm asked. Let me see where we at. Look, I just kind of flowed through like, all right, and here we are toward the end. But so what was some of the takeaways for you with Stuck in the Process? What would you share with people who haven't read it? Like, what would you say to people to encourage them to read it? Like, what stood out for you?
So it is a spiritual self-help book. It's
Mm,
not like your Ayana Van Zant book, because it challenges you to challenge yourself, to see yourself and what process you're at in your life at that moment, and what is the uncomfortability that you have to get out at that moment to get to a place of comfortable.
mm-hmm.
So it's a book that is going to spiritually challenge you for growth and rooting out things.
Mm-hmm. Listen, it was my
Yeah.
route out, so I get it.
Yeah.
And I bless God for the opportunity to even be the vessel.
I would say that there is something for everybody in there. Because I'm gonna be honest, at first I was like, I can't relate to it. It's not for me. But then, I had to really get, honest with myself, and I think that's a uncomfortable place for a lot of people. And this book challenged you in that area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is not your book, ma'am. This is God's book.
It's not.
Because, yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, I take no credit. I tell everybody all the time, it's no way I could have wrote a book that reaches people from different. I had a 76-year-old lady talk to me about how it blessed her, and it blew my mind because I'm like, what, and she's this, and she's a different ethnicity and so much older, and you would think like, how could this girl that was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, write anything that would actually be a reflection to her of her life? And it was, and it blew my mind. I'm like, God, you did that. So men, I've gotten feedback from men that blew my mind, like how, so I don't take credit, honestly. I know that I'm the vessel. I know that it's his, and I know that I just got to steward it well. That's it.
Yeah, I say the main thing, and this was already something that he was showing me while I was going through my process of being in the process of reading in the process. Yes, ma'am. Is to get comfortable with uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's going to be some things that you are called to do, and you're going to be like, who, me? And
like right now, sitting here talking to you,
it's going to make you very, very, very uncomfortable. And it's like, which one would you rather? Would you rather do this thing I call you to do, or would you rather for me to turn away from you?
Whew. Girl.
So that's why I'm here, even speaking to you right now.
Same here.
Because, I would much rather be, I'm saying, sitting on the couch and sitting in my nothingness doing nothing. But God said, go sit over here with Gina.
With your sister and talk.
So
trust me,
I'll make it do what it do.
Trust me, I've battled myself. I'm serious. I know people know me to be like a people person and kind of outgoing, but like I prefer the background, believe it or not. I really do.
You really?
So, I do. I kid you not. God gave me the personality for the forefront. And so I understand that it's not mine to keep. Okay. So I do it. But like I also, I don't know, what is it called when you're both, like an extrovert and introvert? I'm kind of both.
I feel like he's got me to a place where I can be both.
Yeah, like but my favorite time is curled up with a book somewhere just by myself in silence or in my prayer closet. So like, yeah, like I get it feels like, I don't know, it's weird. Anyway, it's not about me. It is about her today, guys.
Oh, it's definitely not about me, ma'am. It's about him.
Well, it's always about Jesus, okay? But the interview was what he did in her life today, not mine so much. So, what projects are you working on? How can people reach out to you, follow you on social media?
So I can't talk about anything right now.
Okay.
Because, I'm working on stuff. But you can find me on True Obedient One TikTok, True Obedient One on Instagram. And my Instagram is just like, spiritual stuff on there, and kind of like truth, conspiracy, what they would call conspiracy stuff on there. So if you like that stuff, you can go on there, and it's True Obedient in the number 1.
All right. Is there anyone with any questions anywhere at all? If not, we are going to say our goodbyes. Anything going back there, camera lady? Or for me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gone. If you catch this replay, I pray that it blesses you. But thank you for coming. I truly appreciate you.
Having me.
And I'm sure we will have more to talk about in the future. Ma'am. All right, y'all. God bless y'all. Bye.
Peace.